Hi everyone, it's Patrina with Homegrown Florida, and today I am going to be walking you through my recipe for a sourdough artisan loaf. So we start with our sourdough starter. This is Elizabeth, and I know it sounds kind of funny, but it is a tradition in the sourdough community to name your starter because it is a living, breathing thing. So with Elizabeth here today, what I do to get started on my loaf is the day before I'm going to bake the bread, I remove her from the refrigerator and let her get to room temperature. From there, I will remove everything except for about 40 to 50 grams of starter, and then I will add the same amount of water and flour back into her and let her set for 4 to 6 hours until she rises and peaks. So that means she's gonna bubble up and get tall, and then right as she hits the top point, or as she starts to release down, is when I'm going to take my starter to use in my sourdough recipe. The first part of the recipe is going to include 90 grams of your sourdough starter mixed with 380 grams of water. Your water should be bottled water if you can. If you use city water, make sure that your water sits out for 24 hours so that the chlorine that's in the water has the opportunity to evaporate. Once you've mixed the sourdough starter and the water together, the next thing you want to add is 520 grams of bread flour. There's lots of different kinds, but you really want to use bread flour because of the amount of protein in the flour, which will help with things like its rise and its crust. And last but not least, never forget the 12 grams of salt needed for any sourdough recipe. The salt gives it taste, but it also helps with the bulk fermentation, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So once you have everything mixed in together really well, you're gonna let it set with a towel over it for about 30 minutes. And you're gonna do this 4 times. So after it has set for 30 minutes, then you're gonna come back and you're gonna do your stretch and folds. And you're just going to do this until the bread starts to kind of become, or the dough starts to become stiffer. And then put the towel over it and let it set for another 30 minutes. I do this 4 times in my recipe. Once I've completed all 4 of my stretch and folds, I'm going to lay the tea towel over the bowl again, and I'm going to place it on my countertop to bulk ferment overnight. I allow 8 to 12 hours, but depending on your environment, how cold or how warm your house is, will depend on how long you need to bulk ferment. But you're looking for your dough to get to a consistency, or to get to a double in size, or just below double in size, and to see those bubbles that you traditionally see in your starter when you are discarding your starter. So you're looking for those things. There's lots of ways of testing it to see if the bulk fermentation has completed, like the finger poke test and things like that. But the easiest way is usually just to use a glass bowl and just monitor it. I use a marker and actually mark the top and the sides. I actually draw like a little arc just to see if my dough has risen. It doesn't have to get to exactly double in size. It just needs to obviously puff up and become larger. After the bulk fermentation, I move the dough over into my Banneton. You don't have to use a Banneton. You can continue to use your glass bowl or your stainless steel bowl. But I find that the Bannetons do help with the shaping of it during its cold treatment or cold fermentation. But if you don't have one, just use your glass bowl. I recommend that you put down parchment paper into the bowl once it's ready to go in the fridge. That will make it easier to transfer into your Dutch oven when it comes time. If you are using a Banneton, you want to use rice flour on the cloth cover or in the actual Banneton, so that way that the dough doesn't stick. And then I've had that happen and it gets very hard to get it out. You'll want to do the cold fermentation for at least 1 hour, but I find that I like to put it in the morning, and then anytime in the afternoon that I'm ready to heat up my house, then I'll pull it out of the fridge for the baking process. So you can really leave it in that cold fermentation for a long period of time. I've heard of people leaving it for 2 days and it's still fine. When you're ready to bake, you're going to take your Dutch oven, the entire thing with the lid, and you're going to place it in your oven for 500 degrees for 1 hour and leave it in there. This is your preheat time. You want to do the full 1 hour. You want this and the stove to have no gaps in the air and the heat, and you want this Dutch oven specifically to become very, very hot. Now you'll move your dough, whether it's from your Banneton onto a parchment paper, and then lift and lay in here once you've reached that 500 degree temperature for 1 hour. If you're using a glass bowl, this is when it becomes a lot easier. You'll just lift that parchment out and place it in the Dutch oven. You'll put your top back on your Dutch oven and you'll put it, the bread in the oven for about 25 to 35 minutes. I begin checking it at this point using a thermometer to check to make sure that the bread is reaching at least 200 to 205 degrees. Once it has reached that 200 to 205 degrees, you'll pull the Dutch oven out, remove the lid, and then reduce the temperature of the oven down to 450 degrees. Put your bread back in at that point based on how crispy you like the bread. We actually like our bread a little less crispy because these things can get pretty crispy. Actually hard to chew in some instances. So I'll just put it back in for 5 minutes, but some people like it super crispy, and they'll put it in for up to 15 minutes. You don't want to go much longer than that. Once the time has finished, you'll remove the Dutch oven and immediately take the bread out of the Dutch oven and place on a cutting board or a cooling rack. You'll want to allow the bread to cool for 1 to 4 hours before you cut it. Because if you cut it right when it's finished, it still actually is doing some baking inside the bread, very similar to not cutting your steak until it has rested. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this gives you the encouragement to try starting your own sourdough bread, baking it at home, because it is absolutely wonderful in taste, and its health benefits as well. I know it may seem overwhelming. There was a lot of steps, but all of them are pretty simple, and there's a lot of time in between them. So while it can take a long time and it can seem like a lot of steps, once you've done it a couple times, you'll be able to do it with your eyes closed.